Good afternoon, everyone. I'm deeply humbled and honored to stand before you as part of the Brain Foundation Youth Ambassador Program. As you know, my name is Aarav Sharma, and I'm a rising senior at Archbishop Mitty High School, which is located in San Jose, California. And for the past 4 years, I've been deeply involved with the autism field. So I'm an entrepreneur, podcaster, YouTuber, author, researcher, and tutor as well. And it's safe to say that I'm really passionate about autism advocacy as well. So I believe that it's crucial to amplify our voices, especially for autism advocacy for families with special needs children, as they're typically isolated with one another and need our care and support. So this is particularly urgent because according to the CDC, autism affects an estimated 1 in 36 children in the United States today. In another report, it actually mentioned that 85% of autistic individuals are actually unemployed. So that's why more employment opportunities need to be created, and overall more care opportunities need to also be implemented for autistic individuals today. So before I continue with my journey, I would like to ask the question, can someone actually tell me what actually is autism spectrum disorder? So I'll just randomly call on someone if you guys don't want to participate. Okay, so what's your name in the red shirt? Samar, nice to meet you. So could you tell me, in your opinion, what you think autism spectrum disorder is?
I don't know.
It's
like the people with autism, from like the people that can't talk to the people that have some problems, like small problems, but then they rise.
Yeah, so it actually goes a little bit beyond that. So it's essentially a neurological disorder, and every student or every patient is essentially part of a spectrum. So each child and adult has a set of strengths and weaknesses, and this can all be distinct from one another. So for instance, in terms of communication, which is one aspect, as you mentioned, some children can be considered to be nonverbal and others can be considered to be verbal as well. So it's essentially a spectrum. And my journey into autism, it began in the summer of 6th grade, where I had actually gone on a family vacation with my family to visit other relatives in India as well. So while I was playing chutes and ladders, I actually noticed that my cousin was autistic because he had some sort of motor difficulties and wasn't actually able to move the avatar to the correct position. However, with my guidance and support, he was eventually able to play the game rapidly, and he actually beat me, so I didn't like that. So then in May of 2020, I joined a support program known as Friends of Children with Special Needs. So I included the logo on the top over there. So it's essentially a nonprofit organization, and there I've helped over 200 plus kids in terms of a lot of my courses, including Scratch and Python, which are coding, along with pre-algebra, Spanish, and badminton as well. So I was the founder and coach of our annual summer badminton camp as well. And as you can see, that child is holding one of our boxes, so that's essentially my therapy kit, and that contains a lot of sensory toys, including fidget spinners, Play-Doh, and Rubik's Cubes as well, with the main purpose of alleviating some of the stress that they were facing. And the picture on the right is our virtual math coding class, which I conducted. So before I continue with my journey, I actually wanted to provide some general tips to anyone who's interested in tutoring or helping out special needs children. So when I first conducted my first virtual coding session, I had noticed that they were really not engaged with my course at all because it was a little bit boring. And I prepared well as a tutor, and I taught it to children at my local library as well. But it really wasn't engaging for them. So as a tutor, I felt really sad and disheartened because it wasn't resonating with my students as well. So after our first session was over, I had remodified my lesson plan, so I included a lot more games as well, such as the Pong game, which you see over here, along with creating a maze game where they can use the arrow keys to obviously navigate around the maze as well. And so I also incorporated something known as a Blue Kit quiz, which is essentially similar to Kahoot as well. So it brings out their competitive nature along with them being more enthusiastic as well. So, and I would believe that a lot of these implementations had a really big significant influence upon my students, as they were really enthusiastic and they were overall engaging better with the coding classes as well. So in my opinion, I believe that these 4 traits of adaptivity, creativity, patience, and empathy are key while tutoring or helping out special needs children in general. So my autism journey did not end there. I had actually been interning with a professor at the Fox Chase Cancer Center for the past 2 to 3 years or so. And there we've actually been using machine learning in order to identify the top 10 genes that can statistically play a significant role within autism, as shown in the brain or in the peripheral blood as well. And I have actually written up my overall experiences with autism in this book known as Beyond the Spectrum, Exploring the Unseen World of Autism. So I published it on Amazon for the past month or so, and essentially this details my journey in autism and what strategies that I've offered to parents so that they can implement it with special needs children as well. And also that experience led me to found my own startup as well. It's called AliHQ.ai, and essentially this is an interactive AI communication platform that is used to bridge the communication gap within special needs families. So I've noticed that while I was teaching my badminton camp, a lot of parents would interact with one another, but the communication was really haphazard and messy. So in order to bridge this communication gap, that's why I've created this startup as well. And I believe that whatever little we can do for the autism community, we can make a huge difference within their lives. And I want to leave you guys with a quote by Muhammad Ali, who said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." And I actually forgot to mention, but as I mentioned before, I was a podcaster. So I have my podcast called Spectrum Stories, where I invited Ms. Kavika along with a lot of other change makers as well, in order to journey their work they had done within the autism community. So in case you guys are interested in listening to my podcast, it's available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify Podcast as well. So together, let's build a community of hope, love, and respect for our special needs children. Thank you so much for listening to me.